Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to learn lots of different things. We're going to start out by learning about how to multiply by 0 and 1. Our I can statement today is I can multiply with 0 and 1. In your workbooks, you should pull out page 71 and 73. Go ahead and do that now. Okay. On page 71, I want you to take a couple minutes, maybe talk with your partner or as a whole group about the patterns that you see when multiplying by 1 and 0. Real quick clue, anything that you multiply times 1 is that same number. So if I have one group of 1, I only have 1. If I have one group of 2, I only have 2. If I have one group of 3, I only have 3. So you could have 1 million times 1, and the answer is going to be 1 million. You could have 20 times 1, and the answer is going to be 20. Anything times 0 is equal to 0. Because if you have 0 groups of something, that means you have 0. Anything times 0 equals 0. Take a couple minutes to look for patterns on our chart. All right, next, let's look at the flip side of that page. On here, we're going to talk about properties and division rules. If you look up here, there's property for the number 1. 1 times 6 is the same as 6 times 1. Those can be reversed, they're interchangeable. Okay, the division rule for 1 is 8 divided by 1 is 8. 8 divided by 8 equals 1. Okay, 0 property, 6 times 0 equals 0. 0 times 6 equals 0. The division rule, 0 divided by 6 is 0. 6 divided by 0 is impossible. So anything divided by 0 or multiplied by 0 is 0. Anything multiplied or divided by 1 is itself. Down here, we're going to talk about the associative property. The best way to remember what associative means is associative has parentheses. Parentheses tell us you must do that first, okay? So if you have lots of numbers, if you see something in parentheses, that means you have to focus on that part first. When you group factors in different ways, the product stays the same. The parentheses tell you which numbers to multiply first. I want to show you this. So we're going to do 3 times 2 because it's in parentheses, and we always do parentheses first. 3 times 2 is 6, and then we can times that by 5, which is 30. If we didn't have our parentheses, or if the parentheses around the other number, our answer would be different. You could still see we still have the same numbers, 3, 2, and 5, but if we did it over here, we'd have 10, okay? And then 10 times 3 is 30. In this case, it stays the same, but in other cases, it doesn't always follow that rule. If we didn't have our parentheses, you just go straight across. You just go in the regular order. But if there's parentheses, you do that first. So let's look down here. I have 2 times 6 times 1. What am I going to do first? I'm going to do what's in the parentheses. 6 times 1 is 6. Then I multiply that by 2. 2 times 6 is 12. Okay, take a couple minutes, pause, and work your way through. Do the parentheses first, and then here. You can do some as a whole group, you can do them as a team or individually. It's up to your teacher. Go ahead and do that now. All right, down here, there's some word problems. It says Sean gave 1 nickel to each of his sisters. Okay? If he gave away 3 nickels, how many nickels does Sean have now? Or how many sisters does Sean have? Okay? So this is just a simple multiplication problem. Sometimes kids get caught up on the ones because they're so easy, it almost seems too easy to be real. But our multiplication sentence is just going to be 1 times 3 equals S. And then what is 1 times 3? Anything times 1 is itself. So he has 3 sisters. Look at this one. Kara has 3 empty boxes. She put 0 toys in each box. How many toys are in the boxes? Again, it almost seems too simple. We're going to do 3 times 0 equals T. Anything times 0 equals 0. Go ahead and work this one out on your own. All right, let's take a look at some of our rules. You might remember when you were learning addition that there was some rules. The community property of addition is, it doesn't matter what order the numbers are, the answer's still the same. 3 plus 5 is the same as 5 plus 3. We also have the commutative property of multiplication. It's the same rule. 3 times 5 equals 5 times 3. I remember a couple weeks ago when we had a lesson and Emily made that discovery. She said, hey, it's the same either way. So commutative property of addition is just like commutative property of multiplication. You can flip them around. The associative property says the way in which the numbers are grouped does not change their sum. So we have 3 plus 2 plus 5. Remember, when there's parentheses, we're going to do that first. We also have the same property over here, the associative property of multiplication. When you see those parentheses, you know that it's associative. The identity property of addition is if 0 is added to a number, it stays the same. So 3 plus 0 equals 3. Anything plus 0 is that number. Well, that's our rule for multiplication, is the identity property. 3 times 1 equals 3. Anything times 0 equals 0. So down here, they just want us to write the letter of what the problem shows. So if you look here, it says 1 times 9 equals 9. Well, I'm going to go to my multiplication properties because this is multiplication, okay? I see that it's multiplied by 1, so it's F, the identity property of multiplication. You see how that works? Come to this one. Oh, I see lots of parentheses, so I know it must be associative. I'm looking, here's addition. So I'm going to look in this column, okay? Where do I have parentheses? Oh, I have it right here, in the associative property of addition. So this one would be B. Go ahead and finish this up as a whole group or in small groups. It's up to your teacher. Okay, here's the last page from our workbook today. You're going to take some time, maybe as a whole group, maybe as a small group, or individually, it's up to your teacher, and you're going to fill in the missing numbers. So 5 times 8 is equal to, let me think, that's the commutative property. I can flip it around. 8 times 5. 3 plus 4 is equal, or 4 plus 3 is equal to 3 plus 4. 0 divided by 8, oh, what's the 0 property? It's 0. Anything multiplied or divided by 0 equals 0. Okay, when you come to ones with parentheses, make sure you do, you can notice that it remains in the same order. 3 times 2 times 4 is equal to 3 times 2 times 4. Okay, so it doesn't change. Maybe the parentheses changed, but the numbers didn't. Then down here, you're going to come up with your own examples. So commutative property of multiplication. Well, here was a commutative property of multiplication. I might just copy that same one. 5 times 8 is equal to 8 times 5. You can come up with your own, okay? It's up to your teacher whether you do these together. Might be a good idea to come up with them all together as a whole group, but it's up to your teacher. All right, let's talk about what your assignment is for today. Okay? So it looks like you just have more practice on just like exactly what we just did. All right? Up here in our study plan, what we talked about today was multiply and divide. I'm going to abbreviate by 0 and 1. Here, you're going to fill in the missing number. Down here, you're going to make sure you do deal and to show all the answers to your work. When you're done with that, I need you to do a fact sheet that looks like this. Okay? When you're done, keep your board papers at your seat and you can check these together. These papers can go home together today. When you're checking, if you found that you made a mistake, I want you to fix it. Good luck.